Hey, I'm Michael Dorinda,
And I'm Jake Bennett.
and welcome to episode 170 of the North Meet South Web Podcast. Jake, before you start, I just
Yes.
want to start today by acknowledging the Luka Dončić Anthony Davis trade.
Oh,
I know that this isn't a basketball podcast, but my Aussie Rules football friends took time out of their lives to meme the hell out of it, so it has to be spoken about. Firstly, what the hell was the GM of the Dallas Mavericks, Nico, thinking? Secondly, thank God he went insane and only called my Los Angeles Lakers. And thirdly, and potentially most importantly for my football friends, is sack Hinkley, which will mean nothing
that,
to pretty much everyone who listens to this podcast. But to those people, sack Hinkley.
Zach Hinkley. Okay, so first of all, one thing. Is your microphone input set to your actual microphone? Because it's kind of cutting in and out. That's the first thing.
That's no good. It is set to my correct input, though.
Okay, so it's fine then. It should be fine. It should be fine. Second of all, Zach Hinkley. I'm guessing this is an Aussie thing. Aussie thing.
So Ken Hinkley is the coach, has been the coach of my Port Adelaide Football Club since end of 2012. So his first season was 2013. And, when he came to the club, everything was rosy. He turned us around. He got us to playing finals. But it became clear over the following 10 years that he just can't coach his way out of a paper bag. He's just, when plan A doesn't work, we just try plan A harder. He makes no adjustments in games. Look, the players love him. But there's no accountability at the club. If they don't perform, it's like, oh, well, football's hard. It's like, no. That's not how we deal with these things. So he's in the final year of his contract. And in theory, it will be the last year of his tenure with my football club. However, we've said that 3 times now, and he's had contract extensions 3 times now.
Every time.
And the thing is, the last time they renewed him, it was like the season goes until September, and we were poised to play finals, and the club, in July, whenever it was like late July, early August, decided that they would extend him for another 3 years because they didn't want the distraction of the coach's contract renewal or not renewal to distract them, from playing finals football. And they proceeded to go out in straight sets in the finals.
Oh,
so, he did enough to get his contract renewed, and then just did what he always does, which, Anyway, the majority of this audience has no interest in any of that stuff, but thank you for listening. And
Zach Hinkley.
Zach Hinkley.
There we go. Indeed.
Jake's on board.
I did see.
Jake's on board.
I am. Sack him. He needs to get out of there. Yep. No, I did see that trade stuff, and that was kind of crazy. I'm like, what? What's happening?
A friend of mine messaged me, and the first thing I said to him was, I miss Woj, Adrian Wojnarowski, who was like the chief NBA analyst at ESPN. He retired last year, and so we're stuck with Shams Charania, who has always been a bit hit and miss in terms of his reporting. And so the first thing I said to my friend who sent me this message on Sunday Arvo was, surely he's been hacked. Like, nobody believed this. And then, he was pleading with people like, no, this is 100% real. So the circumstances of it are strange. Like, it's a blockbuster trade. Luka Dončić is he's a superstar. He's 25. He's heading into the prime of his playing career, assuming he stays healthy and all of that kind of stuff, injuries aside, knock on wood. And, the move for the Lakers is obviously setting them up for, the face of the franchise for the next 10 years. Respect that. Anthony Davis is 31, terrific player, perennial all-star, all-defensive player, MVP. Like, he's in all those conversations all the time. And I think he'll do well in Dallas. And it's a bit of a cutthroat business because, like, the players have lots of rights and whatever else. However, at the end of the day, it is a business, and I'm glad that the Lakers have finally, as a franchise, just said, no, we're just going to do this because this is what's in the best interest of the franchise, rather than engaging with the players and saying this is what we want to do. So, but it was just weird that by all reports, Dallas came to LA and said, "We want you to have Luka," kind of thing. It's like,
Yeah.
okay, what do you want in return?
Bizarre.
And they didn't even ask, like they asked for Anthony Davis and a pick, basically. And the pick that they got is a first round draft pick in 2029. So it's not like they're going to be rebuilding their roster anytime soon.
Was Luka
with
like,
that.
I want out? I'm not playing for you guys anymore. Like, was it like initiated by him, you think, maybe?
Well, I don't believe so from what I've read. And like, but I also had read that Luka had said he's not interested in renewing beyond the end of his contract, which is strange because he was eligible for a supermax, which is something like, 285 or $300 million, because
Gosh.
he's been at Dallas since he was drafted by them. So it's
But they haven't won yet, right? They haven't won
no, I mean, he took him to the
a
finals last year.
championship. Yeah.
Yeah. He got them to the finals last year. And I don't think anyone
Right.
was beating the Celtics last year because the Celtics kind of had a fairly easy run into the finals. I mean, there's not much competition in the East. So I don't know. Look, I'll take it. Happy that this
Absolutely.
year bought my
I
Luka
would be happy to
jersey
see
this
him
morning.
win something. Yeah, there you go. That's cool. That's pretty cool, actually.
And like,
Yeah, we
even
had
if
some
it's not
kids
this
that,
year, like I said, it's set. It's set for the next 10 years. He'll be the face of the franchise. Coach Redick can put together his own roster around Luka and do what he wants and needs to do for the club to be successful. So be interesting to see what happens.
Yeah, we had some kids at the school who were upset about it. Graham came home telling me about all these kids who were huge Luka fans, and they were so mad that he was getting traded away from the Mavs. It's like, well, if you're a big Luka fan, then just follow Luka. Like, just be a Lakers fan then. Like, if you're, you know what I mean? Whatever, it doesn't matter. Graham had his last regional game tonight. They lost to the number 1 seed, who's going to win the whole thing for sure. They won states last year. They're going to win it again this year, probably. They're insanely disciplined, super fundamental team, really, really good. And they beat us, I think, like 60-20. It was, I mean, it was a bloodbath. It was a bloodbath.
No mercy rule?
Maybe 60-30. No, there was a 30-point difference. It was brutal. I mean, their kids could shoot lights out. They're 8th graders. 8th graders. Right. I think they only missed like 2 threes all night. That's
crazy.
I mean, it was wild. And like they'd get a rebound. Everybody'd be collapsed under the basket. They'd have number 5 sitting out of the 3-point line, kick it out to him. Boom, splash, hit the 3. I mean, how do you stop that? You know what I mean? It was just unbelievable.
That's on coaching. You got to be out there. You got to be in his jersey.
Oh no! It was crazy. It did not matter. Because they had 2 or 3 of these kids who could shoot. I mean, it wasn't like one, and they'd sub them out. They'd be like, I mean, it was just ridiculous. Every single kid, they didn't miss. They did not miss. And then they had
people
an insane
keep talking
press.
about this. They're like, they need to move the 3-point line back, or they need to put a 4-point line in. No, controversially, I'm the opposite. Like, just get rid of the 3-point line. Make everyone actually play basketball instead of just camping out on the 3-point line and shooting. Like, yes, it is a skill, and it's like, yeah, it's harder. But this is like, kids don't grow up with the fundamentals. They don't have the footwork. It's flashy handles, but it's not necessarily functional, if that makes sense. Like, if flashy is what they do, then I guess functional would be the opposite. Yeah, look, go back. Let's get back to getting into the paint, getting shots. Like, no 3 points. I know that the NBA wants high scoring. I don't think high scoring necessarily is, because every game then looks like an all-star game. The other day, Dallas played Cleveland, and Cleveland had like 91 points and a half. It's like, it's not an enjoyable thing to watch, especially when the opposition only had 40 or whatever it was that Dallas put up. So no, get rid of the 3-point line, play some defense, earn your points. Let's get back to, and like, we're never going to go back to Jordan era basketball. It's not going to be as rough as it was. We're not going to have the bully ball Pistons and all of that kind of stuff. I understand that you need to look after the players, but let's get back to playing like some basketball, not just shooting threes.
Yeah, that'd be cool. So it'll be, anyway. Yeah, a good game. Tough loss. Sucks. It's over, but whatever. It was fun season. So now we're just back to old man basketball and trying to not get injured, and so that'll be fun. But that's not why all of you folks are here. In fact, Maybe it is. I don't know. Maybe it
Well,
is.
let's put
Let
it in the
me
show notes. They're like, if you're not interested in
yeah,
any
skip
basketball
to
at all,
minute
skip the
10.
first 10 minutes.
Yeah, skip to minute 10. And then we can talk about Severance, because Severance is the next thing I want to talk about. So if you have not watched Severance yet, you should definitely watch it. And also, if you happen to have watched season 1 and you saw The You Are by Rickon Hale, which is the book that they find on the severed floor that was supposed to be for Mark S. It is now out on Apple Books for
Apple
free.
Books, yeah.
The ebook,
Yeah.
and the audiobook are both free. And so I'm almost through chapter 1. It was hilarious. I just started reading it tonight. It's really great. Really great stuff.
I was listening to the Severance podcast, and
Yeah.
Dan Erickson, who's the creator of the show, is one of the writers of the show, was like, I had to
so good.
actually go and write this book. And any time that the book appeared on screen, where like people pause and they take screenshots and whatever else, like anytime it was on there, he had to actually come up with some content. So it's funny that this now exists in the real world as a book.
Yeah. It's the first 8 chapters, the first octet, if you will. And it's I think 39 pages. And so
Yeah. Nice. I'll have to check it out.
Yeah, funny. That's been fun. Season 2 has been out, and so that's been interesting. But the other thing that's going on is Laracon. And so Laracon's been going on. Oh, and I hired a new developer, Andy Hinkle, friggin' rock
did
star.
see
Met him at Laracon 2 years ago in Nashville. And so met him there. We chatted a little bit about state machine stuff, and then I was like, "Hey, we should see if if we want to work together." And so I had interviewed him at one point, and it didn't work out. And then I basically messaged him out of the blue. I was like, "Hey, if you ever change your mind, let me know." And he was like, "Hey, I changed my mind. Are you still hiring?" I'm like, "Yeah, let's do it." So it worked out. So stoked to have him on the team. He's like 3 days in, and so doing a good job. And stoked to have him on the team. So Andy Hinkle, welcome to the team, my friend. Hit him up on Twitter. He's a good dude. Well, then, yeah, Laracon. Laracon's been going off. Laracon EU. That's been cool to watch. I did not get a chance to watch John Drexler, but I heard he absolutely killed it, which that's cool. I was watching Taylor's talk on the cloud stuff, and that was really, really cool as well. So I love that. I feel like it's going to be it's going to help Laravel be the very easy choice for anybody who's just getting into web development, because it's so stinking easy to deploy now, right? JavaScript has their stuff that you can, Cloudflare Pages and all those other places where you can just deploy JavaScript stuff basically for free. And now we'll essentially have something like that for PHP, which is really exciting. So yeah, really, really cool stuff. And I'm excited for that. I did not get to watch many of the other talks, but Night Watch has also been something I'm really interested in. I know Jess Archer did a great job presenting on that one. I'll have to go back and watch that. But
the early
on the early access
came
list
out yesterday.
Yeah, on the early access list for that one now, which I'm really excited about. I think that one's going to be huge. So excited for that one too. So lots of cool stuff coming out. But I got to say, in the span of a year and a half, I have a feeling that by the time we get to Laracon US, it's going to have quite a different feel. Here's the reason why I say that. I feel like the Laravel team went from 4 people to over like 50 people in like a year. And so it seems like this is not a bad thing. This is great. I mean, like, all the things that they're coming out with right now would not be possible had they not been able to grow the team like they have. So this is all good things. It is just that it's growing pains a bit, because the distance between the community and the top of the heap, Taylor, used to be about 5 people deep. That's it, right? Like, you could go from being like just straight outside of the community to like talking with the guy, easy, pretty simply. And now, if you're trying to get access to that person, it's not that he's inaccessible. It's just he's also got 50 other people that he's got to take care of too. Like, his team is there. That's his team. That's the people he's working with. And he's got an obligation to basically be with those people and care for that team. So, like, in the community premium package, it's like, hey, you get to eat, drink coffee with the team. And it's like, that's cool. I don't know 48 of them, but that's cool. You know what I mean? Like, I literally don't. Like, half of them are people I've never heard of, or like, and that's
you're
probably
talking about
on me.
The tickets as well, right?
The tickets, yeah, the community tickets,
to
right?
Laracon US. Yes.
Yeah. So you get to drink coffee with the team, which is super cool. I mean, like, it's actually a super awesome idea. An artisan jacket, like a premium swag bag. You get to have coffee. So they're basically saying, hey, we'll provide you that access for a
Yeah.
premium price. And if you want it, then we're willing to provide it for you. But
Yeah.
it's just, and when I say it is all good, it is just a different feel. And that's
Yeah.
okay. That's okay.
I think it's
just
also
interesting.
about having, a marketing team come in to Laravel and kind of look at events more holistically. They're
Yep.
they're engaging with meetups around the world, and they'll be doing work with them to provide some funding or sponsor pizzas and things like that. Having a team to look at that stuff as well, and having some insight in like how we run a Laracon here. I think it's about repositioning what was previously the community sponsorship tier for Laracons, where it's like it's not sponsorship as such.
Yeah.
It's we'll throw your logo up on the website. You get a special jacket. You get and I think it's not that there's 50 people there. That okay, maybe you don't know 50 people, but it's the opportunity to do that in a similar way that like if you're a higher tier sponsorship, I know that we have a dinner the night before the conference and we invite all the sponsors that
Absolutely.
are a bronze and above. It's that same kind of
Yep.
this is our way of saying thank you for you know for not sponsoring the event, but for like contributing to the running of the event.
Yep.
Because sometimes it can be a bit difficult to position like, okay, if I'm putting something in, what am I getting out of this? And I know that when the sponsors all get together, that when they talk to each other and they, there's sparks that happen there, whether it's like, overlap of things that they're doing or the possibility of working together and things like that. So I think opening up the community, and for someone buying a ticket that's like, oh, I can't buy a ticket and sponsor, it kind of makes you think a little bit as well, or maybe I can sponsor the event.
I can do both. Absolutely. I can do both.
Yeah.
And if I'm going to spend it anyway, it's like I know they get this really cool side benefit of being able to kind of hang out with those folks anyway. Yeah.
So
no,
I
I think it's a really clever idea. Yeah.
It would be interesting to see what kind of uptick they get. And I've seen that at other events, branded in different ways. In like, I know that PyCon here in Australia, they do this thing where you can like, it goes into it goes into like a another pool where you could like, I'm buying my ticket, but I'm also then putting some money into the like student pool where people who can't afford to buy tickets but want to go to the event. Well, I'm effectively sponsoring the conference by supporting people in those groups. They're like, I want to go and be exposed to industry, but I can't necessarily do it. Like those kinds of things happen in other events. So I like that from that perspective, and trying different ways to kind of do that kind of stuff.
Let's be real. I'm talking about it like I'm talking like I'm not going to buy one.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, right.
I'm probably almost definitely going to, right? It's like, oh, it's a cool opportunity. I want that jacket. I want that freaking swag bag. It's like, no, I think it's a genius idea. And I will say the other thing that's actually really clever about it is the express check-in. I will tell you, last year, the line to get in was forever, and it's just it's growing in size. These are all the things that we want to happen, right? We want these things to happen.
I just carried the photographer's bags the last time I was there.
Nice work.
I'm like, hey, I'm helping him get in.
I'm here helping. Yep, get in. Absolutely. Yeah, I got name tags
to pass
out.
Though, right? It's harder.
It
now
is
because
you can't quite sneak in the back door.
You can't just.
That's exactly right.
To help out because there are 50 staffs that are there that are doing that now. So it's a different thing.
Yep,
but
you
like,
got it.
Jess Archer, Nuno, Dries, like all of you people. That I haven't, I saw Jess last year and I saw Nuno the year before, but all of you people that work for Laravel that I haven't seen for a while, if you think that you can not have coffee with me, you got another thing coming to you.
That's correct. Oh boy. So I'm really looking forward to it. And speaking of Laracon US, I think you and I are both actually submitting talks that are sort of parallel. So it'll be interesting to kind of see what goes on with that. I think that we're both sort of taking similar approaches to solving a similar problem, but they're different enough that they're not exactly the same. So yeah, it'll be interesting. I think we both kind of shared our sort of talk abstracts with each other and with the Cash Money Co-work and Telegram the other day. So hopefully one or the other, I doubt both, but hopefully one or the other gets picked up. That'd be cool. And I'm like, I keep thinking through it. I'm like, man, I think this would be fun. but do I really want to do it again? And it's like, I do, but I know it's a ton of work to make it happen. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So, so I'm kind of like, well, here's where I'm at. I'm like, I'm going to submit it, and then if it doesn't get picked up, then no worries. If it does, then at that point, I'll be like, okay, I could probably do this. You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
it is like, there's no point in like giving yourself the pressure of like, ooh, do I really want it? It's like, just submit the thing. If it
Yeah.
happens, it happens, but it
Exactly
probably
right.
won't. So don't worry too much about it. Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Submit
So
it and then worry about that later. And I've had
that's
this
right.
conversation in years gone by with people submitting, and like they're asking, what should I submit to speak at the conference? And I'm like, it doesn't matter. Like, pick something that you think you're interested in or something that you're passionate about, and then submit that talk, and then worry about being selected later. Like, just
Yes,
because you
that's
get
true.
selected doesn't necessarily, like, you could just say, oh no, I've changed my mind, and then we'd go on to the next person, and that's okay too. But you don't have to have a talk. I know some people will take a talk and they'll shop it around and they'll give it at different conferences and things like that. Sure, do that.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely right.
I
It
know
doesn't mean
that,
no forever.
yeah, and I know that like you had shared your abstract because you're looking for feedback. I'm like, oh man, I don't know. I put two paragraphs together as I was like really two sentences, not paragraphs, two sentences together on my phone while I was out for my morning walk, and that was it. I'm like, look, it'll get picked on the basis of like this is what I want to talk about, or it won't, and like that's fine as well. Because they asked as part of the submission this year, if you've spoken at a past event, share a link to the video here. And if you haven't, then, give us a 2-minute pitch for your talk. And I'm like, oh, that's interesting. And I just put in my talk from Laracon AU last year, my like
Yeah.
welcome, my talk. Quote unquote.
I sort of considered like, should I just link to should I link to my talk at Laracon Nashville, like US Nashville, or should I like actually record a pitch? And I'm like, it depends on how serious I am about it. I'll probably just put in the Nashville one. Just be like, yeah,
Yeah, I
it's good
definitely
enough.
didn't put in a pitch, but and I know what Laracon US is like in terms of speaker selection, and I know that they've already put 5 speakers up, so they're only
Yeah.
looking for 12, maybe 13 more. And when you think it's going to be over 1,000 people there, at let's say half of them are going to submit, like it's 1 in 500, or 13 in 500 chance of getting picked. So
Yeah. I think right now
I'm
it's
just excited to be there.
Taylor, Nuno, Jess, David, Joe Dixon. I think it's the list so far they have. But yeah, no, it'll be fun. Dude, will be stoked. I'll be stoked to have you there, see you there. It's gonna be great. So looking forward to that. And yeah, got the tickets. I gotta figure out. I don't know. It said at the bottom of the site like there will be a conference hotel announced later. So I don't know if there's
Yeah,
actually gonna
nice.
be a conference
Yeah.
hotel or not. But it doesn't matter. We'll
Yeah.
figure something out, and we'll all be generally in the same area, so it'll be fine. I'm sure there'll be
Yeah,
some
there's
good stuff.
I looked just because I wanted to have something organized like now before ticket price or cost of accommodation goes up. Because March is, what's that, 3-4 months before the event. So the pricing of this stuff goes crazy. So I just looked, there were 3 hotels that are like 1 block over, and they were the closest to where the venue was. So I'm just like, I'll just pick one of those, booked a refundable thing. And so, either there is a conference hotel and it's a good price and I'll like swap to that, no problem. Because like you want to be the conference hotel usually attracts some discount, 10%, 15, whatever it is. Um, it's usually more expensive than if you go and find your own accommodation. But the benefit of the conference hotel is that you are where everyone else is.
Yeah.
So you don't have to worry about, I've got to get back to my own hotel tonight. As especially if you're traveling into Denver and you don't know your way around the city, or you're someone who would feel unsafe walking around the city at night by yourself. So being in the conference hotel means, you could have a drink or have a chat in the foyer or the lobby or whatever you want to call it, and then you just go up to your room, and then you're up in your
Right.
room and you don't have to worry about
Right.
any of that kind of stuff. So, but there's often a cost that comes with that. So, I'm happy to just be at a hotel near. So I've booked my flights, I've booked my accommodation, I've booked my tickets, booked my travel insurance, upgraded my seats so that I can stretch my legs out on the 16-hour flights each way. Yeah.
Woo.
It's all, but
Yeah.
it's all, and it was great because the tickets where I woke up and I bought my ticket at 6 a.m. and then I sat down at my desk for work and someone messaged, they're like, hey, Qantas has got a sale on. I'm like, The thing with these sales is they're always for like random dates here and there, and they're never for
Right.
when I would want to travel or I don't need to travel. But these dates were like July 15 until September something. I'm like, yep, done. So instead of paying, I think $1,800 each way, I ended up paying $900 each way. So great return.
Okay.
Great
Not
time.
bad. Not bad.
I know,
Yeah.
I know.
So,
It's it seems like a lot for you, where all of your flights are so close together and they're
yeah.
much cheaper. But yeah, we have a long way to travel. So
Jordan Brill, Jordan, he
Mhm.
actually is in Cambodia right now.
Really,
And their
it's
tickets,
halfway
yeah,
here.
him and his whole family went.
Oh no,
All of his kids, including his 3-year-old. Yes. Yes. Wild. And so they had a 15-hour
That's
flight to South Korea and then another flight to Bangkok. And then they had to drive from Bangkok over to Cambodia. His brother lives there and was getting married. And so crazy, crazy,
yes.
crazy.
It's
So
not
they're
like you can
sending,
say no.
right. They're sending pictures of like, all the cool stuff that they're doing. And it's pretty awesome. So, yeah, it's really fun. So yeah, long flights though for sure, for dang sure. Yeah. So for me, it's probably like a 3-hour flight I think over to Denver. And they actually have really reasonable priced flights I think to Denver from our local airport. I think last time I went to Denver, it was $50 from
Yeah,
here, which is crazy. But again, it's the same thing. It's like dates, weird dates. You got to go out there.
yeah,
You have to get there Monday and leave on Thursday. I think is typically what it is for those flights, and it's only during certain times of the year that they have those discounted
yeah.
rates. But
Yep.
it'd probably be like that'd probably be fine. I could go out there on Monday, work for the day or whatever, and I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what
Yeah.
happens exactly. But
Yes, I leave.
should
It's
be
I
fun.
and I love like international travel and time zones and things like that because I leave
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Australia at 10:20 a.m. and then it's like 23 hours of travel, and then I arrive in Denver at or I arrive in Dallas at 10:45 a.m. the same day.
Dang,
So, but
dang,
yeah,
dang.
it's I was gonna. Yaz wanted to go to the baseball. I'm like, well, I don't know anything about baseball, and it'd be cool to hang out because I haven't seen Yaz since 2019.
Yeah,
But the
New York City.
The Rockies are in Colorado, I think, that week, and they play Friday.
Yeah,
I'm like, I can't stay till Friday because they don't get back till
yeah, yeah,
Sunday. It's like, and it's already, there's um, a week with Rhea at home with the kids. So I'm flying in Monday, leaving Thursday night, and then back here Saturday. Which
yep,
I've
yep.
done once before, but I'm like much older now.
It's a lot. It's a lot. It's a lot of
It's a
travel
lot of
for
travel.
sure.
Hopefully, not long enough for the jet lag to get me.
Yeah, no, you'll be good. You're still young. You got it. You got some spryness about you still. Hey, let's do this. Let's see how much time we have. We are at 27
2.5
minutes.
minutes.
So, should I talk about the concept for my talk and you talk about the concept for your talk real quick?
Let's do it.
Do you want to do that? Okay.
Let's do it.
So my pitch is basically introducing the gateway pattern, the gateway and the adapter pattern, I think, between your application and the outside world, like a third party or a first party API. So the reason why this is helpful is because it allows you to stub out or mock responses that may not even exist yet, or ones that your developers need to have during local development and testing, right? So this was on display when Nuno talked about Laravel Cloud and how they were trying to get back responses to be able to fake out the interface. Like, what happens if this happens, right? So the front end relies heavily on responses from these third-party providers like AWS. So like provisioning a server that might need to handle various API responses, like errors to properly display those failure states. So without a gateway, you actually have to go through the, hey, here's some credentials, or you have to go set up your own AWS stuff and then try and make it fail, I guess. So it can be really, really cumbersome, right? But a gateway allows you to structure all the possible interactions that you could possibly get back in a really clean, efficient way. You could think of it almost like how Stripe tokens work, where you want to say, if I type in 4242424242, give me a thumbs up, right? Good response. If I type in 41414141, that is a CVV error. If I type in 404040, that is a insufficient funds, right? Etc. Right?
Yeah.
Those sort of like
Yeah.
magic tokens that give you these
Yeah.
pre-formatted responses back. Stripe works great like that. Not everything has a sandbox environment or special tokens like that that give you back those pre-formatted responses. So a gateway is essentially that, but it's your own hand-rolled version. So that's the core pattern that I'm trying to introduce, and it's a really simple implementation. I like the idea of teaching these things as a Let's go into them and just learn how to do it in the language in PHP. So we define an interface. We then have a service provider that binds to a particular implementation based on if you're in production or if you're in local testing or if you're in just like your local environment, not even just
Yeah, yeah.
testing, but your local environment, right? So it's really flexible. You can switch between a mock. You can actually hook it up to production. Like if you want to locally, you can just say, nope, use the production version. I actually want to hit the real thing. Try this out for a
Yep.
little bit. So the talk is like, what are the benefits for using a gateway pattern? How do you implement it? What are the potential downsides, like API drift between the two? How do you mitigate that? What are the strategies to mitigate that? And then how you test it really thoroughly. Where are the points you need to be sure that you're testing in order to prevent issues from for your team down the road? So that's the pitch. I think it's interesting. We've used it because we rely really heavily internally on first party APIs that we write for ourselves between our different applications. It's sort of like microservice-y a little bit. And so we have to have these responses in place in order for our front ends even to work a lot of times. And so unless I want every one of my developers to have access to production stuff and then provision them credentials and all that, it's just easier to use mocks and fakes and these gateways. And so
Yeah.
yeah, that's kind of my experience with it, and we use them a lot. So it's been a great pattern for me.
Yeah. I think, and on that, like anytime that I build an integration now, I don't go to the extent of like interfaces and gateways and stuff, but I'm building it in such a way that I can swap these things out and like with Saloon, make them all fixture based and things like that. And I think I've got this approach now that like for every basically I see an API, I'm like, oh, I'll just build an SDK for that. And like I might use it once, but just throw it up because people can then use that. So
Yeah,
the
for sure.
the pitch that I put together was like very loosely, and I spoke with Sam Curry about this as well, who created the Saloon library. Is like I mean, Saloon's had almost 3 million installs now, um, as a library, but I don't think it gets quite the attention that some other tooling out there gets. Like we've got the HTTP facade in Laravel, and for like lots of use cases, that's fine. But as soon as you start needing to do a little bit more, if you're doing GitHub, for example, you need authentication and tokens and all of that kind of stuff. And so you might create, if it's just a one-off request, you might just make that request and put your bearer token in there out of config and whatever else. But you might be making multiple GitHub requests. And so you would then have, a GitHub macro that you put in there that like always pre-fills all that stuff. And all of this stuff kind of gets unwieldy. Laravel provides tooling to test it and things like that. But like doing these things in isolation, sharing them around, building SDKs that can be, independent of your application, which is what I've started doing now, is that whilst we have like one-off integrations between our app and the systems that we integrate with, I will build an SDK that is a separate repo that has its own composer dependencies that is like independently tested, and we just pull it in, and that way we can test the SDK separately from our integration and using it. And so I want to talk about, why you might use these things and these approaches, and why you might consider the testing implications, authentication that it does out of the box. Um, all of this kind of stuff that is done for you, pagination, caching, handling errors. Like how many times have you got an API that responds with a 200 OK that's got an error key in it? Like how do you communicate that is a failure in a consistent way? Converting stuff to DTOs and having shaped, typed data coming back from your applications. Saloon does it um, for you, but it does it in such a way that you might lose some of the IDE support. And so, what are some options to work around that? And this is where I've kind of landed with this SDK kind of building approach, where you can do this in a one size fits all for most REST APIs and just shim over the top of that. So, um, I think it's like stable enough a library that it gets this kind of limelight. Ash Allen's written a book about it, but Sam's just been so busy that he hasn't had time to really market this thing. And I think there's space out there to put it. And Laracon US is as good a place as any to do that. So why not?
Absolutely. There's never been an official saloon talk that I know of at like a Laracon, and it's been around for long enough, and it has contributed enough to. I know a lot of people use it that I think it could really benefit from having a little bit more exposure just through a talk, and so I think it'd be really cool. So
Like,
absolutely, Sam
battle
Cray's done a great
tested
job on it.
in
Yeah,
quotes.
yeah, absolutely.
That like this is an approach that we've used for dozens of integrations.
Yeah,
And
and
like
it's
we've
insanely
used it.
flexible too. Use
Yeah, we've
XML,
used
use
it for
JSON,
JSON,
use
we've
whatever.
used it for
Use all sorts of
XML,
stuff.
yeah,
So
all of this
yeah,
kind of stuff. And like the first thing I did was, Sam, do you mind if I give this talk? Because it's your library, right? But if you don't want to, or you're not in a position or whatever to give this talk, can I be the one that does it? And hopefully, if it does get selected, then I'll work with him to make sure that like we're, not just my experiences with it, but also communicating the things that we think should be communicated about that, not as a salesy pitch type thing, but as like these are the real killer features that they make it useful.
absolutely. All right, folks. Well, I think that brings us to the end. I will say, Michael, I think both of them sound really interesting. Honestly, I think either one of them could work well, and I would look forward to hearing either of them if
Yeah.
it so happens to be selected. So, best of luck, my friend. I hope it all
I'll
works
be
out.
cheering
And
cheering you on from the front, from the front row if you're there, and I'm sure you'd be
yeah,
cheering the same
it's
thing
vice
for me.
versa.
That's right.
Exactly. All right, my friend. What episode are we on tonight?
170.
170, folks. Thanks for hanging out with us. Podcast show notes at northmeetsouth.audio/170. Hit us up on X or on Blue Sky at Michael Derrida, at Jacob Bennett, or at North South Audio. Rate us up in your podcatcher of choice. 5 stars would be incredible. And if you have not bought your tickets yet, go buy them. Look forward to seeing you at Laracon. Make sure you say hi. We'll see you there, folks. Peace.
Bye.